On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast, we are still talking about the marching world again because it's the summer and that's what you do. And we are talking about Drum Corps International coming to Pennsylvania on today's PMEA's Take Note podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. In the last episode, we were talking about the marching arts, and I mentioned, well, it's July. That's the season that we are in, and that means we're also in Drum Corps season. Drum Corps International is the premier place to see drum corps around the country, and they are back. And it is their 50th anniversary, and there's so many exciting things to talk about with them. So I am thrilled today to be joined by Drum Corps International CEO Dan Acheson. And Dan has this wonderful perspective, I think, in drum corps. So he marched corps, he taught corps, he was the executive director of the Glassmen, who I miss so much. It was one of the corps that actually drew me to the activity in the early 90s that I was so impressed with. And now is the CEO of Drum Corps International. Dan, thank you for joining us.
Oh, hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
So it's the 50th anniversary. You've seen a lot through your years. I guess I'm curious. So what are some of your reflections to begin with on the activity, over the years you've been involved?
Well, I have some the rare opportunity to have some great memories of as a marching member in a small group from Cincinnati, Ohio, called the Queen City Cadets, to be at the very first championships and actually participate. And I just remember that there was all this buzz about this new thing called Drum Corps International, and that it was going to be the next big deal in marching music and competition and so forth, as we came out from under the American Legion of VFW umbrella, where it was merely an event to them. To us, it's an activity, right? So I just have some fond memories of those first few years as a participant. What a great, thing this was going to be someday. And it was, in fact, at the time. And then, roll forward with, as you mentioned, I marched, I taught, I designed drill, I directed a corps, and now in this position, just speaking to the Hall of Fame members, anyone who was around back then when it all started, and then having the opportunity to, along with them, to watch this evolve over the 50 years has been truly special.
I think it's fantastic, and it's what perfect timing, right? That the 50th comes this year after we've had two kind of crazy years in the world, but certainly in the drum corps world as well. It's pretty fortuitous timing, I would think.
It absolutely is. So many plans were in place, or beginning to be in place back in 2019 to start, preparing for our 50th anniversary. We wanted to, put on a special tour and, all those great plans. Well, they kind of got shot down, right, for a couple of years. And right now, our biggest plan is to just complete a very, very successful tour and to, make this happen in a healthy and safe way, and to get to the World Championship so that we can celebrate in the one way that we really know now, is, of course, through awesome performances and through a lot of people in the DCI community coming together and engaging and having fun with it.
So you've been out on the tour here for a few weeks. You're out there traveling. You're probably not sleeping on the gym floors still, but you're definitely out there traveling. What's the behind the scenes like this year for a 50th year and a post-pandemic year? What are you seeing out there?
Well, I'm seeing that it's, not without its challenges, right? For each corps, we have the cost of goods issue, especially diesel fuel and regular gas, just to get down the road. They're dealing with those challenges. They're dealing with challenges from, the aspect of most of their students are brand new to DCI. They don't have the veteran leadership at the level that they used to have, going from 2019 into 2 years of not experiencing a tour. So they're having some challenges with that as well. And then as we're hearing in lots of other activities, volunteers are in short supply. Just drivers of trucks are in short supply. So a lot of those challenges. But the interesting thing is that, as our activity has been for 50 years, is they're very resilient. They are problem solvers, and they are finding a way to provide their participants with the best possible experience. And they're getting it done. And the participants are just as excited to get out on that field to perform as the audience is to see them. And with all of that excitement, I'm just feeling the momentum of this tour building. Yeah, competition is important in our activity. We like it. We enjoy it. It's kind of the sport of this thing we do called marching music. But the real priority is that engagement between the performers having the opportunity to perform and the audience having the opportunity to appreciate them.
So let's talk a little back to the 50th. Some special things happening throughout the season. Can you talk to us about what's going on to help celebrate as we're, on the tour this year?
Well, there's a lot of material out there on our social media channels and on our website. One of the aspects of what we've put together is the video collection, and we're releasing a video a week that is kind of a retrospective. We took the time in 2021 to speak to a lot of Hall of Famers and a lot of folks that have been around for a long time, creating and managing and so forth. And we're seeing these great edited videos as retrospectives. So it's truly a gift to the activity to say, let's remember where we came from, kind of a thing, as we celebrate how we're going to get, how we're going to move forward. And our championships event, really marking the 50th, is where we have a couple of exciting events beyond the competition itself. We have a DCI history experience, which is kind of a temporary museum that's going to feature 50 years of uniforms and equipment and videos and other memorabilia in well over a 10,000 square foot space that ought to be really exciting for people to reconnect those that have been around and appreciate, all that went into these 50 years. We're having, like any good nonprofit organization, we're having a gala. But the interesting thing about that is we're using the gala as a fundraiser to establish a legacy fund. And the legacy fund is intended to provide a much needed pool of funding for participants that want to participate in drum corps. We have a great stable of scholarships for attending the university and so forth, which of course is important to us and important to the students. But we also know that the cost of participating in our activity continues to rise. And we want to provide that fund for those that don't have the means, but have all the desire and talent to want to participate. So we're hoping to establish something that is ongoing, that reaches out to the economically challenged that want to participate in our activity.
I want to point out another great thing that you're doing is the Field Pass podcast, which has been around for several years. But the great thing about it that I'm really enjoying this year is the history pieces of it. And there were 2 episodes already about looking back at the DCI broadcast, because for so many of us, that was our entry into the activity. And I just love the conversation with Steve Rondinero, Dennis DeLucia, Michael Cesario, because that to me was drum corps. Before I had ever seen a show in person, those guys were drum corps. And I guess the podcast will continue throughout the year with more history. Is that the plan?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Just about everything we do is going to have some kind of a history connection to it, of course. And even down to, we did a theater broadcast already of our tour premiere. And prior to each performance, there was a little bit of a history retrospective for each group. And we plan to do a lot of that at championships as well.
Fantastic. So talking history and historical, part of that is here in Pennsylvania. and DCI East. And I'm sure many folks watching and listening to this have been to J. Bernie Crum. I've been there many times, sat in those bleachers, and watched the shows there. And of course, DCI East is back this year. So I'm sure you've been there many times. You'll be there this year. What makes it so special? What's so special about East?
Well, when you think in terms of the drum corps experience, it's surrounded by a drum corps community. And there's no better display of community in our activity than in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It takes a commitment to sit in those bleachers, right? And really enjoy that. And it takes a commitment to walk up that famous hill to get to your seats. But with all the amenities of funnel cakes and those types of things, right? But it's an opportunity for our fans to come together. They do tailgating in the park there, which is a beautiful setting, but they get to interact to a somewhat degree with the drum corps themselves because they're warming up in that park. And it's a relaxed festival community experience. Old friends have been going there for decades, and they reconnect there on an annual basis. And it's just a great opportunity to feel like you're a part of something that has been historical, but also seeing these very today performances and creativity and performance levels coming from these students.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective, way to think about it. Is there anything that sticks out to you? Favorite memories that you've had from DCI East? Any moments?
Oh, I've had so many. I was a participant in 1978 in the Madison Scouts. And I'll never forget standing on the track at the time and hearing the score announced for the Madison Scouts, and it put us in first place in the preliminary competition at DCI East. We ended up in fourth in finals, but just how exciting it was that, oh my, we did that well today. So as a participant, a young participant, I remember that. But I got to tell you, last year, we put on a celebration performance there in Allentown. And it's going to become, if it hasn't been, it will be my favorite memory for many, many years to come of Allentown. Speaking of the community, so much uncertainty surrounding what was this going to be, what was it going to be like, and so forth. And 5,000 people showed up, the DCI community, to just celebrate drum corps. It wasn't a competition, or just these great performances by the groups from the East heading into an Indianapolis event, and just the energy and the love that was shown to the activity. It's quite a memory, and of course I would expect that to happen in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. One of the great things about Allentown, of course, is over those 2 nights, you're basically seeing everyone.
Yeah.
And that's for the drum corps fans out there, and the week before championships to see everyone. But there are still other shows around Pennsylvania. There are still some other local shows still to come, so folks can find this in their local communities.
Yeah, absolutely. Sheffield, Pennsylvania. Then we go to Pittsburgh, and we have Erie, Pennsylvania. And, not too far of a drive from the Philadelphia community into another state. But Rowan University is going to be hosting an event for the first time in a long time, and Glassboro. And I'll tell you, that show will be something too. But again, reachable from the Philadelphia area. So that'll be good too.
So if driving is an issue to any of those shows, don't worry. There's even another way to get the fix, besides from the Flow Marching subscriptions, where you can watch so many of these shows and get really addicted if you're not already. But DCI will be in the theaters again in August.
Yeah, we're looking forward to returning with our big, loud live production, which is our preliminary competition's top 15. And it's only the 15 because of time. There's only so much satellite time that can be acquired. And but that top 15 experience on that Thursday night will be presented in the theaters, along with the very PBS-like commentary in between, right? And discussion and historical references as well.
And when you talk about that, I mentioned Steve Rondinero. So Steve, still part of the broadcast team after all these years, and I believe his quote is that you would have to pull the microphone from his cold dead hand for him to stop doing this.
That's absolutely right, and we wouldn't have it any other way. He's just done an amazing. I mean, what an amazing 4 decades he's had for us as an activity to be that person that we can connect with, to understand our activity. It's terrific.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate you taking some time to talk today, because I know you were so busy on the tour, because we were talking a little bit. You're actually traveling around on the tour through the summer. You're not just sitting in the office for a few months. You're out on the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to get out there. I like to visit, to address the challenges that we have, the event. Our part of our mission statement is about creating a stage. And I like to make sure the stage is worthy of these awesome young people that are giving so much of their time, learning so much. An interesting fact for your membership is, 60% of these young people participating aspire to be music educators. That's an extraordinary connection to this profession, and so important. And then the other thing I want to say, and I try to take the opportunity every time I have the chance, and that is, without that elementary school teacher, that middle school band teacher, that high school teacher, drum corps students, they're not what they are today without that. And I can't thank you enough, and the entire community in Pennsylvania, for what you do. And gosh, the world that you've had to live in these past couple of years, as well as educators. So much respect and so grateful for the work that you do.
It's an ecosystem, right? I mean, it's this whole education ecosystem, and it's so wonderful that there are groups like Music for All and Drum Corps International that are part of the ecosystem on that national level, that not only give those of us who love the activity kind of a fix on that level, but also help promote this and show what can be done at such a high caliber, which then inspires students and inspires teachers. So I think that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Dan, I mean, I can't thank you enough for the work that you have done over these years as CEO, and to your staff, and very particularly in these past few years of making it work, but then coming out and having this amazing 50th season lined up and all the special things that happen with it. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I look forward to celebrating with Pennsylvania music educators at these events. I mean, let's enjoy what comes about, and then we can be a little critical too, just for fun.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
Judges a little bit, perhaps.
Absolutely. I'm with you. So folks can visit dci.org, find the local shows, find the information on DCI East. We're going to post all of that information as well with the podcast, because we want to see you out at these shows, because it's summer, it's drum corps. That's what you do, right?
That's right. Right. Get your funnel cake, sit down, and enjoy.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. I know you got to get back out on the tour, so I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for joining us on this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. We will see you next time.